Meanwhile, in this country, the right-wing morons of this country have taken their chance to, I don't know, this is a teachable moment as far as they're concerned for us. Here is that Fox show Outnumbered, which in and of itself should be an indication that we're not dealing with the greatest group of thinkers. But Eric Bowling and Kennedy, the former MTV VJ, which I'm not saying disparagingly. She's actually seems to me to be
easily the brightest person on that show.
Indeed.
Far and away.
Indeed. They're talking about terrorism. Here's Eric Bowling trying to explain what we should take from this.
This should be a test case for New York City or any major city or any city for that matter. This office was targeted in 2006. It was targeted in 2011. A couple of weeks ago, it was targeted saying there's credible threats against this office. They put cops in front of the office.
Yeah.
But they put cops with handguns. Maybe some didn't even have handguns. There are reports that some didn't even have a gun. These guys walked up heavily armed and blew away 12 people, walked out of there unscathed. Here's the point. There's been a very serious push from the left saying, let's not over-militarize our cops. That should put an end to that discussion right now. We should over-militarize. We should continue to do that. One last thought. I'm sorry.
No,
after
please.
9/11, I was in the building at 9/11. Right after 9/11, there was the New York City cops. What they did was they did these shows of force. Heavily armed cops would walk around buildings. They'd show up anywhere. 12 cop cars would line up. They'd get out with the full body gear, with the machine guns, ready just to show the bad guys they're there. That's kind of gone away. Maybe it's time to bring it back. It's not intimidating. I don't want. It's not a police state.
Okay, but
It's a safe state.
let me just make one point about the militarization of police, because I've always been very pro law enforcement, and I think that cops should have all sorts of tools and technology, but they shouldn't see us as the enemy. You know, we are not the enemy. We are not people they're hunting or combating.
I didn't feel like I was an enemy.
Okay, but that's the difference between the military and the police. And if you talk to police officers, they'll agree there has to be a difference. There has to be a line. Your police department should not look like your armed forces.
So
And that's the point of that. And I don't want cops walking around heavily armed and
Right. That's true. That's true. Well, but
and I understand after 9/11.
We are being hunted.
Yeah.
We are being hunted. Okay, ISIS has made it very clear. These guys are making it very clear when they enter that newspaper's offices. Yeah. We're here to get you. We are being hunted. So how would you like for us to be protected? What message do you want to send?
I think the best thing that Americans can do is arm themselves.
Me too.
Can we do a high five?
But you
Pause
can't
it.
do that.
Okay, before their high five, just as we start to get into this whirling dervish of stupidity that they're going on. So Eric Bowling has gone from, look, cops with just handguns isn't going to do it, to we should all be armed. I guess presumably he's saying that Eric Bowling wants to go to work with a semi-automatic machine gun because otherwise it's useless, according to him. And of course, he doesn't have the training that a cop would. So we should all be armed to the teeth. And as you know, yes, ISIS is coming for us. They are all over the place in this country. They're coming for us. We need to be walking around with semi-automatic rifles. But the stupidity... And this is what happens, folks, when you get into this wind tunnel of stupidity on a program on Fox, something is going to come out of it that's just going to be unbelievable. Go ahead.
In the city, you're not even. It's this.
Yeah, I live in D.C. where it's really, really difficult.
New York cops,
New York City.
New York cops, I don't feel like they look at me as the enemy. I feel like New York cops, of all the cops in this country, you can go up to them and have a conversation.
You're not a bad guy, though. If I'm a bad guy, I see a heavily armed cop on the corner, I may decide not to do the bad thing I was thinking about doing.
Sometimes bad guys don't look like bad guys.
Right, and that's my question about these guys, because if we know they were speaking unaccented French and they had, ski masks on, do we even know what color they were, what the tone of their skin was? I mean, what if they didn't look like typical bad guys as we define them?
There you go. Typical bad guys. Oh, what did I just say? As we define them. Oh my God, did I say that?
Who is it that said that? Shannon Bream?
Shannon Bream.
Jeez.
So now we know what a typical bad guy looks like to Shannon Bream, but we don't know if one of these guys are a typical bad guy because we can't see if they are brown. So they could look just like a good guy and, like a white person.
You're an atypical bad guy.
Oh,
Look
my
at you,
gosh.
you sneaky Caucasian bad guy.
Yes, of
I
course.
see you.
That is just
So sneaky.
unbelievable.
Being white and a bad guy like that.
Now, that's what I was saying. Get into this sort of like this cluster of stupidity that exists on Fox, and then all of a sudden, like, I've got to speak up and say my mind. Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. So,
they were all like, hey, we were rolling here, Shannon.
did you hear the crickets for a moment? They're all just like, and then they just sort of raced through it and just pretended
like,
that
we're being hunted. We should have guns. I should have a machine gun. If I had my own machine gun, it would be like an action movie. We could protect ourselves from the muscle. Whoa, Shannon. That was a little intense. All right, next, why rape doesn't exist. We're going to talk with the Princeton mom. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.